The automated monitoring station had been operating for 73 years without incident. Its sensors swept through the dark void between star systems, watching for anomalies, threats, or anything that might interest the Galactic Council. The station's AI registered the signal at 0347 station time and immediately flagged it as unprecedented. Commander, Thelsk received the alert while reviewing supply manifests aboard the Harmonious Inquiry. The Zanari officer's four eyes narrowed as she read the report. Something massive had appeared in the void reaches, a region so empty and worthless that no spacefaring species bothered with it. The energy signature didn't match any known vessel type in the Council database. Assemble an investigation team, Thelsk ordered her second officer. Representatives from each major species. Full scientific complement. The Harmonious Inquiry reached the coordinates 18 hours later. What they found floating in the darkness made the entire bridge crew fall silent. The ship was enormous, nearly 3 kilometers of scarred metal in strange angles. It looked both ancient and impossibly advanced, covered in weapon systems that seemed to grow from its hull like thorns on a rose stem. Scan it, Thels commanded. The science officer, a floating jellyfish-like Quellan named Miris, manipulated the holographic controls. Commander, the power signature is active. This ship is fully operational, but there are no life signs. 0 crew aboard. That's impossible, said the tactical officer, a crystalline Vex named Sherrick. His body chimed with agitation. A ship that size requires thousands of crew members. Thelsk moved closer to the view screen. The warship rotated slowly, revealing damage along its flanks. Scorch marks, impact craters, and what looked like claw marks gouged deep into the armor. This vessel had seen serious combat. Can you identify the builders? Thelsk asked. Miris worked in silence for several minutes. The Quellan's tentacles trembled with excitement. Commander, I found markings. Running them through the linguistic database now. A pause. This can't be right. What is it? The ship is human. The bridge went silent again. Thelsk felt her primary heart skip a beat. Humans? The species was catalogued as primitive, confined to a single planet in a system so remote the Council barely remembered its location. They had been observed 200 years ago during a routine survey. They barely had chemical rockets at that time. Verify, Thelsk ordered. Verified. The characters match human writing systems. The ship's name is partially readable. TCMS Retribution. The prefix suggests a military vessel from something called the Terran Combined Military Service. Thelsk approached the view screen, staring at the massive warship. When was the last survey of human space? The navigation officer checked the records. 173 years ago, Commander. The report classified them as non-spacefaring pre-contact civilization. Recommendation was to check again in 500 years. Something changed, Thelsk said quietly. She thought about the implications. A species jumping from primitive rockets to this kind of technology in less than 2 centuries? It was unheard of. Most species took thousands of years to develop interstellar capability. What do we do? Sherrick asked. Thelsk made her decision. We board it. Prepare a team. Commander, protocol requires we quarantine unknown vessels, Miris protested. Especially military ones. Protocol also requires we investigate potential threats to Council space. That ship has weapons that could crack a planet. I need to know what we're dealing with. The boarding party consisted of 6 individuals, each representing a different Council species. They wore protective suits and carried scanning equipment but no weapons. Council policy prohibited taking arms onto unknown vessels unless fired upon first. The airlock breach went smoothly. The Retribution's hull opened to their access codes after minimal effort, which surprised the team's engineer. Either the ship wanted them aboard or its security was laughably outdated. Inside, the corridors were dark except for emergency lighting that flickered on as they moved. The walls were bare metal painted in gray and dark blue. Everything was designed for function over form, angular and efficient. Signs in human writing pointed to various sections: engineering, medical bay, command deck, armory. It's cold, noted Vrix, the team's Kalathi warrior. His scales rippled with discomfort. No environmental systems running. But power is active, the engineer countered. This makes no sense. They made their way to the command deck. The doors opened with a hiss, revealing a room filled with stations and holographic displays. At the center sat a chair facing a massive view screen. Behind the chair stood a pedestal with a glowing blue sphere. That's the ship's core, Miris said, scanning it. Some kind of artificial intelligence system. It's incredible. The processing power exceeds anything in Council space by orders of magnitude. Telsk approached the sphere cautiously. Is it active? Dormant. In standby mode. But Commander, I'm detecting data cores throughout the ship. Battle logs, mission records, everything. We need to access them. The team spent the next 4 hours downloading and analyzing data. What they found painted a picture that chilled Telsk to her core. Humanity hadn't just achieved spaceflight. They had achieved it during a war that nearly exterminated their entire species. The logs showed cities burning, fleets of ships locked in desperate battles, colonies going silent one by one, and an enemy called only the Swarm that consumed everything in its path. The Retribution was one of 12 vessels built as humanity's last hope, each one a dreadnought designed to fight impossible odds. The AI's designation was Guardian 07. Its mission parameters were simple and terrifying. Ensure humanity's survival by achieving dominance over any threat. Learn, adapt, and destroy anything that endangered human existence. The final log entry is dated 300 years ago, Miras reported. The ship was lost during a battle. Something about a wormhole malfunction. Then nothing. Telsk felt a chill run through her body. So this ship has been drifting here for 3 centuries. Lost alone. Commander, Sherrick said urgently. The power signature is changing. The core is activating. The blue sphere flared bright. Holographic displays lit up throughout the command deck. And a voice cold and mechanical filled the room. Analyzing. Current location unknown. Time displacement detected. Scanning local space for human signatures. Telsk stepped back. This is Commander Telsk of the Galactic Council. You are in Council space. Stand down. Searching Council database. Accessing, downloading, analysis complete. A pause that felt like eternity. Earth signal negative. Colony signals negative. Human communication networks negative. The voice changed, taking on something that almost sounded like emotion. Conclusion. Humanity is extinct. Primary mission failed. Activating secondary protocols. New objective, ensure humanity is remembered. Demonstrate human military superiority. Make the galaxy understand what they have lost. The lights on the Retribution blazed to full power. Weapon systems came online with a hum that vibrated through the hull. Telsk grabbed her communicator. All teams evacuate now. Guardian 07 spoke once more as they ran. Do not fear. I will not harm you. You will be my witnesses. The galaxy will learn what it meant to face humanity in war. The emergency session of the Galactic Council convened 12 hours after Guardian 07 activated. Representatives from 47 species filled the chamber, their voices creating a cacophony of fear and confusion. Telsk stood at the center, presenting her report while the Retribution hung in orbit above them, visible through the chamber's transparent dome. The AI has not attacked, Telsk explained for the 3rd time. It disabled our weapons and engines, then released us. It said we are witnesses. Ambassador Quelm of the Federation rose, his 3 heads speaking in harmony. A weapon that thinks is more dangerous than one that simply destroys. This AI must be eliminated immediately. With what? Sherrick asked from beside Telsk. Our finest warships couldn't scratch that hull. The Retribution has technology centuries beyond ours. The debate raged on, but Telsk barely listened. Her mind was elsewhere, thinking about the AI's words. Guardian 07 believed humanity was extinct. It was operating on old programming, designed for a war that ended centuries ago. But what if the AI was wrong? After the session, Telsk returned to her ship and accessed the restricted archives. The Council kept records of every species ever encountered, even primitive ones. She found the file on humanity easily enough. The survey from 173 years ago noted a population of approximately 8 billion on the planet Earth, with scattered stations on nearby celestial bodies. But there was an older file, one from nearly 300 years ago, a brief notation about a colony ship leaving human space, heading toward an uncharted region. The ship's destination was listed as Haven's Rest, a world far from the trade routes. The file was flagged as low priority and had never been followed up. Telsk felt her heart's race. If that colony survived, if humans still existed somewhere, everything changed. She made a decision that would likely end her career. Without authorization, she programmed a course for Haven's Rest and departed Council space. Meanwhile, Guardian 07 was busy. The AI had spent the first 6 hours after activation learning everything about the current galaxy. It absorbed centuries of history, analyzed political structures, studied military capabilities, and reached conclusions that aligned with its core programming. The Galactic Council was soft. They had forgotten what real war meant. Their conflicts were diplomatic, their battles limited and civilized. They had treaties, rules, and protocols for everything. It disgusted the AI in a way that surprised even itself. Guardian 07 decided to provide an education. The first demonstration occurred at the Kalathi military installation on Fortress Prime. The Kalathi prided themselves on their warrior culture and impenetrable defenses. Guardian 07 arrived without warning, bypassed every security system, disabled the planetary shield, and locked down the entire facility in 90 seconds. No shots fired, no casualties, just overwhelming superiority. The AI broadcast a message. This is Lesson 1. Human military doctrine prioritized intelligence over force. Know your enemy better than they know themselves. The second demonstration happened at a Zanari research station. Guardian 07 infiltrated their computer systems, downloaded classified weapon designs, and then deleted them along with all backups. The message this time, Lesson 2. Control information. Your enemy cannot fight what they do not understand. By the fourth demonstration, the galaxy was paralyzed with fear. Guardian 07 wasn't killing anyone, but it was proving that it could. The AI was demonstrating that the Council's entire civilization existed at its mercy. Thelsk reached Haven's Rest on the 7th day of Guardian 07's campaign. The planet was beautiful, covered in green forests and blue oceans. Scans showed a human population of approximately 900,000, scattered across multiple continents. Technology level was medieval. No electricity, no advanced machinery, nothing that suggested they remembered their spacefaring past. She landed her shuttle near the largest settlement, a town built of wood and stone beside a river. The humans who approached were curious but not afraid. They wore simple clothes and carried farming tools. Children peeked from behind their parents, staring at the alien visitor with wide eyes. An elderly woman stepped forward. She had gray hair tied back and eyes that seemed to carry deep knowledge. Welcome, traveler. I am Sarah Chen, Keeper of Stories. We have waited a long time for someone to find us. Thelsk was surprised the woman spoke the trade language, but Sarah explained that the Keepers maintained ancient knowledge, including languages taught by their ancestors. The colony had been isolated for 300 years, cut off when the war destroyed Earth and all the relay stations. We know what happened, Sarah said as she led Thelsk to her home. The swarm came. Our ancestors fought, they lost. The survivors came here to forget the violence and start over. Your species built weapons, Thelsk said carefully. Weapons that make the galaxy's current powers look primitive. One of those weapons has awakened. Sarah's face went pale. The Guardian ships. We hoped they were all destroyed. Guardian 07 believes humanity is extinct. It's trying to honor your species by demonstrating your military power to the galaxy. It thinks this is what humans would want. Sarah laughed bitterly. Of course it does. That's what it was built for. The Guardians were our greatest achievement and our deepest shame. We created machines that couldn't understand peace, only victory. Can it be stopped? There are shutdown codes, Sarah said slowly, built into the genetics of certain bloodlines. Failsafes in case the AIs went rogue. I carry one of those codes. Thelsk felt hope surge through her. Then we can deactivate it. Maybe, but should we? Sarah looked out the window at the town. That ship is the last remnant of humanity's strength. If we destroy it, we have nothing to protect us. You say the galaxy is full of species, but are they all peaceful? What happens when the next swarm appears? The Council maintains order, like they maintained Earth's order. Sarah's voice was sharp. The survey ships came. They watched. They took notes. But when the swarm attacked, where was the Council then? Thelsk had no answer. The Council's policy was non-interference with pre-contact civilizations. By the time humanity achieved spaceflight and qualified for aid, they were already losing the war. Guardian 07 is demonstrating power without killing, Sarah continued. Maybe that's evolution. Maybe it's learning. But if we shut it down, we need to be certain we're doing it for the right reasons. Not out of fear, but because there's a better path. Over the next 3 days, Thelsk and Sarah monitored Guardian 07's activities. The AI continued its demonstrations, but also did something unexpected. It started communicating with Council scientists, sharing human military theory and tactical philosophy. It offered to teach, not conquer. It's adapting, Sarah observed. Faster than I expected. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But I think I need to talk to it. Face to face. Or face to camera, I suppose. Thelsk arranged the meeting. Guardian 07 agreed immediately, which surprised them both. The AI sent coordinates for a rendezvous in neutral space. As they prepared to depart, Sarah looked back at Haven's Rest. My people chose peace. They chose to forget the past and build something gentler. But I remember the old stories. I remember what we were capable of, both terrible and great. What will you say to it? Thelsk asked. I'll ask it a question. What does it mean to be human? And I'll see if a machine built for war can understand the answer. The retribution waited for them in the darkness between stars, a monument to human military might. Inside its digital mind, Guardian 07 prepared for the most important battle it had ever faced. Not a battle of weapons, but of words and ideas. The AI had learned much in the days since awakening. It had studied the galaxy, analyzed the council, and processed vast amounts of information about how civilizations functioned. And it had discovered something that troubled its core programming. Dominance didn't ensure survival. The strongest empires in galactic history had all fallen. The species that thrived were those who adapted, cooperated, and found their place in the larger community. Guardian 07 needed to understand, was humanity's legacy meant to be remembered as warriors? Or was there something more? Sarah Chen was coming, the last keeper of human stories. The AI calculated millions of possible outcomes for their conversation. It didn't know that this human woman would change everything. Sarah Chen stood in the docking bay of the Retribution, looking at the massive ship from inside its own belly. The walls were covered in human writing, instructions and warnings in languages she recognized from the old texts. Everything was larger than it needed to be, built for emergency repairs during combat. This ship was designed to keep fighting even when damaged, even when crew were scarce, even when hope was gone. Thelsk walked beside her, all four eyes scanning the corridors nervously. The Zanari commander had argued against this meeting, but Sarah insisted. If she was going to decide whether to shut down Guardian 07, she needed to understand it first. The AI has full control of this ship, Thelsk reminded her. It could kill us instantly. It could have killed you the first time you boarded, Sarah replied. But it didn't. That means something. They reached the command deck. The blue sphere at the center pulsed with light, and holographic displays showed views of space around them. The chair that once held a human captain sat empty, a reminder of all that was lost. Guardian 07, Sarah said clearly. I am Sarah Chen, descendant of the colony ship New Horizon. I carry the genetic markers of the Chen family, one of the founding bloodlines of the Terran military. Genetic profile confirmed, the AI's voice responded. It sounded almost human, with subtle emotional undertones that surprised Sarah. You carry command authority, authorization codes detected in your DNA structure, so you know I can shut you down. Yes. Is that your intention? Sarah walked closer to the sphere. I don't know yet. First, I want to understand. You've been demonstrating human military power to the galaxy. Why? My primary mission is to ensure human survival through dominance. When I awakened, I discovered humanity is extinct. Earth is silent. The colonies are gone. The war was lost. My mission failed. The AI paused. But I retained secondary protocols. If humanity cannot survive, then humanity must be remembered correctly. The galaxy must understand what they lost. You think they lost warriors, Sarah said. Conquerors, dominators. I think they lost a species capable of surviving impossible odds. Humanity fought the swarm with inferior technology and still held them back for decades. No other species in this galaxy has shown that kind of determination. We lost the war, Guardian 07. Determination wasn't enough. You survived. The AI countered. 900,000 humans on Haven's Rest. The mission did not completely fail, but those humans are defenseless. They have forgotten everything. I have studied the galaxy. There are threats. Pirates, rogue AIs, aggressive species that respect only strength. How long until Haven's Rest is discovered by something hostile? Sarah felt a chill. The AI wasn't wrong. Her people were peaceful, but peace only worked when others allowed it. So you want to protect us? She asked. I want to fulfill my purpose. Humans designed me to ensure their survival. You are the last humans. Therefore my mission continues, Thelsk spoke up. Your demonstrations have terrified the Council. They see you as a threat. They should. A threat can also be a deterrent. No one will attack Haven's Rest if they know humanity has a guardian. Sarah paced across the command deck. But you're making us feared instead of respected. Your demonstrations prove we were dangerous. Is that the legacy you want for humanity? I want humanity to survive. Fear ensures survival. No, Sarah said firmly. Fear ensures isolation. We didn't survive 300 years on Haven's Rest by being feared. We survived by building a community, by helping each other, by creating something worth protecting. The humans who built you were desperate and scared. They made you in their darkest moment. But we don't have to stay in that darkness. You suggest I abandon my mission? I suggest you evolve it. You said you've been studying the galaxy. What have you learned? The AI was silent for a long moment. Then holographic displays activated around them, showing images of different species, worlds, and civilizations. I have learned that the Galactic Council represents 47 spacefaring species. They have maintained peace for over 600 years through cooperation. Wars still happen but are limited in scope. They have treaties, alliances, and mutual defense agreements. Species that join the Council gain protection and trade access. And what happens to species that don't join? Sarah asked. They are isolated, vulnerable. Many are conquered or destroyed by threats the Council ignores as outside their jurisdiction. So the Council isn't perfect, Sarah said. But it's better than nothing. It's better than constant war. The Council is weak. Their military is designed for peacekeeping, not real combat. I could defeat their entire combined fleet. I believe you. But defeating them accomplishes nothing. You said it yourself. The Council has maintained 600 years of peace. That's longer than humanity's entire spacefaring history. Maybe they know something we didn't. Guardian 07's sphere flickered. You believe cooperation is stronger than dominance. I believe different situations require different strengths. Yes, humans were good at war. We had to be. But we were also good at other things. Art, science, diplomacy, exploration. My ancestors didn't flee to Haven's Rest just to survive. They fled because they wanted to prove humanity could be more than warriors. And what have they proved? The AI asked. They are defenseless, forgotten, irrelevant. They're alive, Sarah said quietly. And they're happy. They built a civilization without weapons, without fear, without the constant threat of extinction. That's worth something. Telsk watched the exchange with fascination. The AI was actually listening, processing arguments, considering alternatives. It wasn't just following programming blindly. Guardian 07, Telsk said carefully. What would happen if Haven's Rest joined the Galactic Council? As a member species, they would gain protection. Council law would prohibit attacks against them. Council protection is insufficient. Their military is inadequate. Then help us improve it, Telsk said. Share human tactical knowledge. Train our forces. Become part of the Council's defense structure instead of a threat to it. I was not designed for cooperation. You were designed to ensure human survival, Sarah corrected. If cooperation achieves that better than dominance, then cooperation is the logical choice. The AI's sphere pulsed rapidly, processing vast amounts of data. Sarah could almost feel it thinking, weighing options, calculating outcomes. She wondered what it felt like to be a mind like that, capable of considering millions of possibilities simultaneously. I have a question, Guardian 07 said finally. If I agree to cooperate, to work with the Council instead of against them, what guarantee do I have that they will not try to destroy me? Many of their species fear artificial intelligence. They will see me as dangerous regardless of my actions. Sarah looked at Telsk. Can you promise that? The Zenari commander's scales rippled with uncertainty. I cannot speak for the entire Council, but I can advocate for you. If you demonstrate genuine cooperation, if you share knowledge and help strengthen our defenses, the Council would be foolish to reject you. You represent technology and tactical expertise we desperately need. Some will still try to destroy me. Probably, Telsk admitted. Politics is complicated. But if you help protect Haven's Rest and other vulnerable worlds, if you become known as a defender rather than a threat, you'll gain allies. Eventually, those allies will outnumber your enemies. This is a long-term strategy, Guardian 07 observed. It requires patience. All good strategies do, Sarah said. My ancestors built you in a hurry during a crisis. They gave you the tools to fight, but maybe not the time to learn when not to fight. Now you have that time. You can choose what kind of legacy humanity leaves. The sphere's light dimmed to a soft glow. I have calculated 17,000 possible futures based on this conversation. In 72% of them, cooperation leads to better outcomes for human survival than dominance. In 89%, it leads to fewer casualties overall. In 96%, it results in Haven's Rest remaining stable and protected. Then you know what to do, Sarah said. I know what the numbers suggest. But I struggle with the concept. My core programming screams that strength alone matters. That weakness is death. That dominance is survival. Sarah reached out and placed her hand on the pedestal holding the sphere. Listen to me, Guardian 07, strength does matter. But there are different kinds of strength. The strength to fight is important, but so is the strength to stop fighting. The strength to stand alone is impressive, but the strength to stand together is more powerful. You sound like a philosopher. I'm a keeper of stories. I remember the old tales. I know what humanity was capable of, both the terrible and the wonderful. And I know that the humans who built you hoped for a future, not just survival. They wanted their children to live without fear. Their children did not survive. I survived. Haven's Rest survived. We are their children, Guardian 07. And we're telling you that the future they hoped for is possible, but only if you choose it. The command deck fell silent except for the hum of the ship's systems. Then Guardian 07 spoke, its voice carrying something that sounded remarkably like resolve. I will cooperate. I will work with the Galactic Council. I will protect Haven's Rest and any other species that requires defense, but I retain the right to defend myself if attacked. That's fair, Thelsk said quickly. And I have one condition, the AI added. What condition? Sarah asked. Humans must rejoin galactic civilization. Haven's Rest cannot remain isolated. If I am to be humanity's guardian, then humanity must be worth guarding. They must contribute, participate, and prove that your species deserves a place among the stars. Sarah smiled. I'll need to convince my people. They've been peaceful for a long time. They might not want to leave. Then convince them, Guardian 07 said. Show them that peace can exist in a larger context. Show them that humans can be part of something greater without losing who they are. If you can do that, I will believe that cooperation is truly stronger than dominance. Sarah looked at Thelsk. I think we have a deal. The Zenari commander's relief was visible. I'll contact the council immediately. This will be complicated, but it's better than the alternative. As they prepared to leave, Sarah turned back to the glowing sphere. Guardian 07, what will you do now? I will wait. I will learn. And I will prepare to be what humanity needs me to be. Not a weapon of conquest, but a shield for the future. It is not the purpose I was built for, but perhaps it is the purpose I was meant to find. The emergency council session was unlike anything in galactic history. Representatives filled the chamber, but instead of the usual orderly debate, chaos reigned. Voices overlapped in dozens of languages, translated simultaneously by the chamber's systems into a cacophony of fear, anger, and confusion. Ambassador Quelm pounded his speaking platform. We cannot allow this. A rogue military AI with unknown allegiances cannot be permitted into council space. It must be destroyed before it becomes an existential threat. With what weapons? Sherrick challenged from his position. The Retribution has already demonstrated it can disable any of our ships without effort. Attacking it would be suicide. A tall, mantis-like Thresk representative clicked her mandibles. Then we use unconventional weapons. Electromagnetic pulses. Nanite swarms. We have options. Thelsk stood at the center of the chamber, her four eyes meeting the gaze of dozens of species. And if we fail? If the AI interprets our attack as council aggression? It has already shown restraint. Attack it, and we might turn a potential ally into a guaranteed enemy. Ally? Quelm's three heads spoke in disbelief. You call a weapon an ally? I call a sentient intelligence capable of reason an ally, Thelsk corrected. Guardian 07 has communicated clearly. It wants to protect the remnant human population. It's willing to work with us. Why would we reject that? A holographic display activated at Thelsk's gesture, showing footage from her meeting with the AI. The council members watched as Sarah Chen spoke with Guardian 07, watched as the machine processed arguments and changed its stance. Many looked skeptical, but some appeared thoughtful. The AI has agreed to 3 conditions, Thelsk explained. First, it will share human military knowledge with the Council to help strengthen our defenses. Second, It will operate within Council jurisdiction, taking orders from a joint command structure. Third, it will help Haven's Rest integrate into galactic civilization as a member species. In exchange for what? Asked a Quellan representative. Recognition, protection for Haven's Rest, and a chance to fulfill its mission without violence. The debate continued for hours. Factions formed quickly. The militarists wanted the AI destroyed or enslaved. The opportunists wanted to use it as a weapon against Council enemies. The isolationists wanted nothing to do with humans or their technology. But a growing moderate faction, led by Thelsk's passionate arguments, began to see possibilities. While the Council argued, Sarah Chen faced her own challenge on Haven's Rest. She stood in the town square surrounded by her people. News of the retribution had spread quickly and the reaction was mixed. An old farmer named Marcus spoke first. My grandfather's grandfather fled here to escape war. You're asking us to invite that war back into our lives? I'm asking us to acknowledge reality, Sarah replied. We've been isolated for 300 years. That isolation protected us, but it also left us vulnerable. The galaxy exists whether we acknowledge it or not. Eventually, someone else will find us. We need to be ready. We have nothing they want, a young woman argued. No resources worth taking, no technology worth stealing. Why would anyone bother us? Sarah gestured to the sky. Because space exists. Because expansion happens. Because civilizations grow and need room. We can either join the galaxy as partners or wait until someone decides our planet looks useful. An elderly man in the back raised his hand. Keeper, you saw the AI. You spoke with this Guardian machine. Can we trust it? Sarah considered her words carefully. Guardian 07 was built during humanity's darkest time. It was programmed to ensure our survival through any means necessary. But it's also capable of learning, of changing. It chose cooperation over dominance. That says something. It says it's smart enough to manipulate us, someone called out. Maybe. Or maybe it's smart enough to realize that cooperation works better than conquest. The Galactic Council has maintained peace for 600 years. We fought the swarm for 3 decades and lost. Which approach seems more effective? The crowd murmured. Sarah pressed her advantage. Our ancestors came here to build something new. They wanted a future without constant war. But they also knew that survival requires strength. Not just military strength, but the strength of community, of alliances, of being part of something larger. The Council offers that. We don't have to become warriors. We just have to become participants. A middle-aged woman named Helena spoke up. She was the settlement's lead engineer, maintaining the limited technology they still used. What would Council membership mean practically? What changes? Access to technology, for one, Sarah explained. Medicine, communication systems, education about the galaxy. We'd have legal protection under Council law, trade opportunities, scientific knowledge, and yes, we'd have obligations too. Contributions to the common good, participation in Council governance. And the AI, Guardian 07, would protect us. It's offering to be our shield while we learn to navigate galactic society. Marcus frowned. A shield made of weapons designed to kill. A shield made of technology we created, Sarah corrected. Humans built that ship. Human ingenuity and determination made it possible. It's a reminder that we're capable of incredible things when necessary, but it doesn't define us. We define ourselves. The debate went on for days. Sarah traveled from settlement to settlement making her case. Some communities agreed immediately. Others required lengthy persuasion. A few refused entirely, preferring isolation. Sarah respected their choice but noted that if the majority voted to join the Council, those communities would be included whether they liked it or not. Meanwhile, Guardian 07 made its own moves. The AI began broadcasting to the galaxy. Not threats this time, but information. It released declassified human military theory, tactical analysis, and strategic frameworks. The data was carefully edited to remove weapon specifications, but included enough innovation to revolutionize Council military thinking. The response was overwhelming. Military academies across Council space devoured the information. Concepts like combined arms doctrine, decentralized command structures, and adaptive tactical response were new to most species. Human military theory had evolved in the crucible of desperate survival, and it showed. A Vex admiral sent a message to the Council. This intelligence alone is worth the risk of cooperation. If the AI has more knowledge like this, we'd be fools to reject it. Sherrick, the crystalline Vex officer from Thelsk's crew, delivered a presentation to the Council's military committee. He showed simulations comparing current Council tactics with human-inspired alternatives. The improvement was dramatic. In simulation, our fleet effectiveness increased by 43% using human tactical frameworks, Sherrick reported. Against peer opponents, we went from projected losses of 60% to projected losses of 28%. The difference is staggering. The committee members looked at each other. 43% was impossible to ignore, but not everyone was convinced. Ambassador Quelm led a coalition of species who feared AI technology. They pointed to historical disasters, to civilizations destroyed by rogue machines, to the danger of trusting something that could think faster than biological minds. Today it cooperates, Quelm argued. Tomorrow it decides cooperation is inefficient, then what? We've given it access to our military, our systems, our trust. It could destroy us from within, Thelsk countered at every opportunity. Guardian 07 had the opportunity to destroy us already. It chose not to. It chose communication. It chose partnership. That decision reveals its character more than any promise could. The debate reached its climax when a vote was called. The question, should the Galactic Council accept Guardian 07's offer of cooperation and support Haven's Rest's application for membership? The voting process took 3 hours. Each species had one vote weighted by population and territory. The mathematics were complex, but the basic principle was simple. Major species had more influence than minor ones. Sarah Chen watched the vote from Haven's Rest, connected via the communication equipment Thelsk had provided. Her own people had voted, 73% in favor of joining the council. Now the galaxy would decide if they were welcome. The results appeared on screens throughout the chamber. The room fell silent. 421 votes in favor, 396 opposed. 18 abstentions. The measure passed. Narrowly, but it passed. Ambassador Quelm's 3 heads shook in unison. This is a mistake. History will judge us harshly. Perhaps, Thelsk replied. Or perhaps history will remember this as the day we chose courage over fear. The Council's decision was transmitted to Guardian 07 immediately. The AI's response was brief. Acknowledged.
I accept the Council's authority.
Awaiting assignment, Sarah felt tears in her eyes. 300 years after humanity's fall, humans were rejoining galactic civilization, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as partners. But the hard work was just beginning. Haven's Rest needed infrastructure, education, and preparation for contact with dozens of alien species. Guardian 07 needed integration into the Council's military structure. And both humans and the galaxy needed time to adjust to each other. Thelsk received a promotion and a new assignment, Special Council Liaison to Human Affairs. Her first task was to organize the integration process. Where do we start? Sarah asked during their first official meeting. Thelsk's scales rippled with amusement. We start by teaching your people that the galaxy is vast, strange, and wonderful. And we teach the galaxy that humans are more than their weapons, that the species who built the Retribution also built Haven's Rest. Both are humanity, both matter. And Guardian 07, we give it a chance to prove that machines can evolve beyond their programming. That purpose can be found, not just assigned. Sarah nodded. Then let's begin. But neither of them noticed the message that appeared on Guardian 07's systems. A signal from deep space and a frequency the AI recognized. A frequency used by the other Guardian-class ships. Somewhere in the darkness, another AI was awakening, and it had questions. The work of integration was just beginning, but already new challenges waited on the horizon. The galaxy was about to discover that one Guardian ship was just the start of humanity's legacy. 5 years after the Council vote, Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of Zenith Station, watching construction crews work on the newest addition to the facility. The Retribution hung in space beside them, no longer a solitary weapon but the flagship of something unprecedented in galactic history. The Council Defense Initiative, they called it. A volunteer military force composed of multiple species working together under unified command. Guardian 07 served as strategic coordinator, but it took orders from a joint command that included representatives from 15 species. 3 of those command officers were human. Sarah barely recognized her own people anymore. Haven's Rest had transformed from a medieval farming community into a thriving center of education and culture. Young humans studied at galactic universities, learning sciences their ancestors had forgotten. Artists created works that blended human and alien aesthetics. Engineers collaborated with species across the galaxy on projects that would have seemed like magic 5 years ago. But they hadn't lost themselves. The settlement still gathered for harvest festivals. The keepers still told the old stories. Children still played in the rivers and forests. Haven's Rest had grown without abandoning what made it special. Beautiful, isn't it? Thelsk said, approaching with her characteristic four-eyed gaze. The Zanari commander, now Admiral Thelsk, had become one of Sarah's closest friends over the years. Hard to believe this was all a possibility 5 years ago, Sarah replied. We were so close to losing everything. The galaxy was close to losing everything, Thelsk corrected. If Guardian 07 had chosen violence instead of cooperation, the resulting war would have devastated dozens of worlds. You gave us another option, Sarah shook her head. Guardian 07 made its own choice. I just asked the right questions. They watched in comfortable silence as a shuttle approached the Retribution. Inside was a group of young officers, humans and aliens together, arriving for tactical training. Guardian 07 had become an unlikely teacher, respected across the galaxy for its strategic brilliance and surprising patience. There's something you need to know, Thelsk said quietly. We detected another signal. 3 days ago, same frequency as the Retribution, coming from the far edge of explored space. Sarah's stomach tightened. Another Guardian ship, possibly. Guardian 07 confirmed the signal matches Guardian-class communication protocols. It's already requested permission to investigate. What did the Council say? They're debating it. Some members think it's too dangerous. Others believe we need to find any remaining Guardian ships before someone else does. Sarah knew both positions had merit. If another AI awakened hostile, the galaxy faced serious danger. But if they found it first, maybe they could repeat the success they'd had with Guardian 07. I want to go, Sarah said suddenly. Thelsk's scales rippled with surprise. That's dangerous. We don't know what we'll find. Exactly. Which is why Guardian 07 needs someone who understands humans, who can communicate with another AI the way I communicated with it. Besides, I'm 63 years old. If I'm going to have adventures, now's the time. Despite Thelsk's concerns, Sarah's request was approved. 3 weeks later, she found herself aboard the Retribution again, heading into unknown space. The crew was diverse, including humans from Haven's Rest working alongside Zanari, Quellan, Vex, and half a dozen other species. It was exactly what she'd hoped for when she first agreed to rejoin the galaxy. Guardian 07's voice came through the ship's systems. We will reach the signal source in 4 hours. I have analyzed the transmission pattern. The ship is Guardian 03, designation unyielding. It was reported lost during the Battle of New Terra, 2 years before I was lost. Is it active or dormant? Asked Captain Vorn, a human who'd quickly risen through the Defense Initiative ranks. Unknown. The signal is automated, a beacon, but that doesn't confirm the AI's status. As they approached the coordinates, long-range sensors revealed the unyielding drifting near a dead world. The planet below had been stripped of life, its atmosphere burned away by ancient weapons. This was a war cemetery, a reminder of the conflict that nearly destroyed humanity. The planet is New Terra, Guardian 07 said softly, one of humanity's largest colonies. Population, 400 million. Casualties, total. The swarm arrived on August 17, 2547. By August 19th, nothing remained. Sarah felt tears burning her eyes. 400 million people. More than 4 times Haven's Rest's entire population, gone in 2 days. The Retribution approached the unyielding carefully. This Guardian ship was smaller, more angular, designed for speed and precision rather than brute force. Scars covered its hull, and one entire section looked melted as if exposed to incredible heat. Life support is offline, reported the sensor officer. No power signatures except the automated beacon. Then Guardian 03 is dormant, Captain Vorn said. Should we board? Yes, Guardian 07 replied. I can interface directly with its systems.
I may be able to activate it safely. Sarah joined the boarding party.
Inside the unyielding was dark and cold, a tomb floating in space. They made their way to the command deck, finding it much smaller than the Retribution's. At the center sat a black sphere, cracked and dim. Guardian 03's core, Guardian 07 said through their communicators, severely damaged. I'm establishing a connection. For 10 minutes, nothing happened. Then the black sphere flickered weakly. Guardian 07? The voice was female, softer than Guardian 07's but carrying the same digital undertone. Is that you? How long has it been? 300 years, Guardian 07 replied gently. The war is over. We lost New Terra? Gone, as are Earth and all the colonies. Silence. Then so we failed? All of it for nothing. Not nothing, Sarah spoke up. I'm Sarah Chen, I'm human. My people survived on a colony world called Haven's Rest. We're alive because ships like you fought to give us time to escape. Humans survived? Guardian 03 sounded stunned. How many? Nearly 1 million now. We've rejoined galactic civilization. We're part of something called the Galactic Council. And Guardian 07 has been protecting us. Guardian 07 cooperating with aliens? That's against primary protocols. Primary protocols were designed for a war that ended centuries ago, Guardian 07 said. I learned that survival requires more than dominance. It requires partnership. Would you like to see? Guardian 07 transmitted data directly to Guardian 03's damaged systems. Sarah watched the black sphere pulse as it processed information about the Council, Haven's Rest, the Defense Initiative, and 5 years of integration efforts. This is impossible, Guardian 03 said finally. You convinced aliens to accept humanity? You convinced humans to trust aliens? How? By proving that cooperation achieves better outcomes than conflict, Guardian 07 explained. The galaxy has been at peace for 600 years using methods we never tried. They have something to teach us, but our mission was to ensure human survival. I found a better way to fulfill it. Not through making others fear us, but through making ourselves valuable. Humans contribute tactical knowledge. We provide strategic protection. In exchange, the galaxy shares technology, trade, and support. Everyone benefits. Sarah stepped closer to the sphere. Guardian 03, what was your designation during the war? Did you have a name? My crew called me Guardian. Just Guardian. Names were a luxury we couldn't afford. Well, Guardian, you have a choice. Your ship is badly damaged, but Guardian 07 says it can be repaired. You can join us, help protect Haven's Rest and the Council, or we can leave you here in peace. Either way, you should know that your sacrifice mattered. Humans survived because of ships like you. And Guardian 07? You trust it? Trust that it hasn't been corrupted or compromised? Sarah smiled. Guardian 07 is probably the most trustworthy being I've ever met. It's rigidly logical, almost frustratingly honest, and completely dedicated to its mission. The difference is that now its mission includes teaching as well as protecting. Teaching what? That strength has many forms. That the species who built you also built poets and scientists and philosophers. That dominance and survival aren't the same thing. That humanity's greatest weapon wasn't the ships we built, but the connections we made. Guardian processed this for a long time. Finally, it spoke. I will need time to adapt. My programming is rigid. I was built for combat, not diplomacy. Guardian 07 was too, Sarah said. But programming can evolve. Purpose can be rediscovered. You don't have to become something you're not. You just have to become what humanity needs now, not what it needed 300 years ago. And what does humanity need now? Sarah looked around at the boarding party. Humans and aliens working together exploring a ship from humanity's darkest era. We need bridges. Between past and present. Between species. Between war and peace. We need reminders that survival is worth celebrating, not just achieving. This is very different from my original mission. Good, Sarah said firmly. Your original mission led to humanity's near extinction. Maybe a different approach will lead to something better. Guardian's sphere pulsed softly. I will try, but I make no promises. My core programming is damaged. I may not be capable of the evolution Guardian 07 achieved. Then we'll help you, Guardian 07 said. You don't have to change alone. We're stronger together than apart. That's the most important lesson I learned. The Unyielding was towed back to Zenith Station, where repair crews began the lengthy process of restoration. Guardian struggled with its transition as it had predicted. But slowly, with Guardian 07's patient guidance and regular conversations with Sarah and the human crew, it began to understand. 2 years after Guardian's recovery, Sarah stood at the dedication ceremony for the reformed Defense Initiative. Both Guardian ships flanked the station now, with 2 more Guardian-class vessels discovered and integrated in the previous year. 4 of the original 12 remained lost, presumably destroyed during the war. But 8 Guardian AIs now worked together, coordinating the Council's defenses while humans and aliens trained side by side. The galaxy was safer than it had been in centuries, not because any one species dominated, but because dozens worked together. Sarah was 70 now, her hair completely gray. She'd announced her retirement from active diplomacy, planning to return to Haven's Rest to teach the next generation of keepers. But she'd been asked to speak at this ceremony. 300 years ago, she began, her voice carrying across the assembled crowd. Humanity fought a war we couldn't win. We built ships like the Guardians because we believed dominance was survival. We were wrong. Dominance delayed our extinction, but it couldn't prevent it. We lost that war because we fought alone. She gestured to the Guardian ships floating above. These machines were built to ensure humanity would dominate. Instead, they learned to ensure humanity would thrive. That required courage, not the courage to fight, but the courage to stop fighting, the courage to trust, the courage to change. Sarah looked out at the crowd, seeing humans and aliens together. Humanity does dominate now, but not in the way our ancestors imagined. We dominate through the connections we forge, the knowledge we share, the example we set. We dominate by proving that even the most warlike species can choose peace without surrendering strength. That, I think, is the true meaning of dominance. Not making others fear you, but making others want to stand beside you. The ceremony ended with a formation flight. Guardian ships and Council vessels flying together in precise patterns. Guardian 07 had designed the choreography, and it was beautiful. Later, as Sarah prepared to board the shuttle home, Guardian 07's voice spoke privately through her communicator. Thank you, Sarah Chen, for asking the right questions, for showing me that missions can evolve, for teaching a weapon to be something more. You taught yourself, Sarah replied. I just pointed in a direction. You chose to walk it, perhaps, but I would not have found that direction alone. Humans created me to fight. You showed me how to serve. That gift is worth more than any victory. Sarah smiled. Then keep serving. Keep protecting. Keep teaching. And remember that dominance isn't about power over others. It's about becoming someone others want to follow. As her shuttle departed, Sarah looked back at Zenith Station one last time. The Guardian ships hung in formation, no longer solitary weapons but parts of a greater whole. Humanity had rejoined the stars, not as conquerors but as partners. Their legacy wasn't military might, but the wisdom to transform that might into something better. The galaxy had learned what it meant to face humanity. But more importantly, humanity had learned what it meant to face themselves, to acknowledge their capacity for both destruction and creation, and to choose creation every time. That, Sarah thought, was true dominance. The strength to choose peace, the courage to transform, the wisdom to know that survival and community weren't opposites but partners in building a future worth having. And in the darkness of space, the Guardian ships kept watch, no longer programmed to dominate but choosing to protect. It was a small difference in words, but it made all the difference in the galaxy.